Hey y'all, what's going on? This is Jackie, and today I'm making a video about the emerging technologies for healthcare. Now, some of these technologies have been around, and some of them are new. So I'm just going to go over a few of them that I think will impact us the most. And when I say us, I'm just talking about us and that just work in the hospital, not necessarily secretaries, but just us in general. So the first is AI, and ever since ChatGPT has come along, the world has been in a frenzy, and I love it. I do not use ChatGPT. I might one day, but I don't use ChatGPT. Now I was using something else, like a different artificial intelligence, and I'm staying with them. But because they fulfill my needs, and the only bad thing is their artwork is not good. And so, but the way I look at it as the way it is now is the worst it'll be. So it can only get better, if that makes sense. Now there are some technologies that, the artwork is great. I've seen one called Mid Journey. Oh my goodness, that is so that man, I'm telling you. But anyway, so as far as artificial intelligence, the AI can be used for things when it comes to the healthcare for like problem solving, language understanding, decision making. I personally think that AI would be very good as far as understanding language, because if so, like, let's say you're in a hospital, which you are, and you have a patient that doesn't speak English or doesn't speak the language that you speak. It is so hard to get a person. It's so hard to get a translator. So being here in South Florida, we have a large Hispanic population. We also have a large Haitian population. So it's Spanish and Creole are the other languages, and then of course we have visitors. We have people from Canada, French, um, Russians. We have a lot of people. Okay, but the main two other languages are Spanish and Creole. And you would think, and there are a lot of Spanish speaking staff as well as Creole speaking staff, but it is so hard to get a translator. So we either have to use, even though we're not supposed to, we have to use a uh the family member, or we have to run around trying to get staff that can translate. So that's one. And then, or family member, and you really don't want to use family member to translate. And then if that don't work, we had like a computer on wheels, and it would dial into like a Spanish, I mean not a Spanish line, a language line. And so it would be like a person on the screen somewhere in the world, and they would translate. So you know the nurse was speaking to it. It would speak to the person in English, and then that person would translate in Spanish what they're asking, and then they would translate back. That's just too much. Okay, that's just way too much. So my thing is, why not have some kind of technology in the room that's like built into the room. And then that way, when instead of having a person be the middleman, be the interpreter, be the translator, have the technology be there. So like, let's say, I don't know, something on the call light or a button in the room. If you push the button, it can translate. So one person, translate English to Spanish, Spanish to English, something like that. And then that way everybody's on the same page. So, that's why I say I have no problem with AI. A lot of people are afraid of AI. I'm not afraid of it. I think it is going to be good for certain things. Another thing that they talked about is virtual nursing. So this is kind of like with the doctor visit, the virtual doctor visits that people did during the pandemic. But in this case, it said would reduce the nurses' workload by providing patients with guidance as well as virtual support. They can aid in monitoring patients' vitals, provide solutions for medications and treatments, and also offer emotional support. I think this will be good for like people home with hospice, type, where they can monitor things. So instead of, the nurse going to the home, they can monitor, you know, or if like someone goes home with home health, things like that. I think it would be good for this. So I can see this. I can see this happening. Now, as far as like just regular visits, I don't know. I never did that. I never did that during the pandemic. I don't even do that now. I need you to come look at me, touch me, hear my heartbeat. So, but I understand why people, they do it. The virtual office visits. Another thing is smart hospitals. And let's see, did I pass it? Yeah, smart hospitals. So, and basically what this means is the hospital will be smart enough to lower room temperatures, or, or turn off the lights when not in use, which I never understood why we didn't have that anyway. Because in the ICU, the way the hospital was set up, I talk so much about the ICU. In the ICU that I worked on was on the other part of the hospital. It was a newer part of the hospital. So you had the main hospital, and then you had a ramp. I always talk about the ramp. And then you had the ICU. So it was basically like a separate hospital attached. Just think of it like that. And most people, like, people didn't go up and down the ramp a lot. I never understood. I mean, people who knew about it, and who knew about it and were going from one side of the hospital to the other, they would go up and down the ramp. Or if they were coming over to the ICU, they were coming over from that way. So like the only ones that really, really knew about it were the doctors and the staff. Okay. We really didn't have patients and things like that coming up and down that ramp, coming over that way. Why those lights stayed on all the time? I never understood. I'm like, why don't they get these lights, like motion lights, so that when people are coming, like, still keep some lights, but the main lights could be off, if you understand what I'm saying. It'll be motion. Because we like where we clocked in at, nobody really came that way, because the only thing was over there was like, that's how we came. We clocked in from over there down that hallway. We were going through that back door, and then OR, because OR had their own area. They had their own break room. They would go in through their break room, which was over there. And then it was like a little area where the doctors would go and sit and chart, or they would chart, they would transcribe. I think the only ones that really went over there were like the residents that knew about it. They would go over there. But for the most part, people really didn't go down that hallway. Transport didn't go down that hallway. They wouldn't go that way. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, that should have been, the light shouldn't have been on 24 hours a day. I think I always thought, I was like, that's a waste of money. But having smart lights, things like that, or motion lights, just something simple. I mean, that's not even that hard, just to get some motion lights. I never understood why they never had that. Same thing with to adjust the room temperatures. How many times you had to go in the room because people are too cold and they can't reach, the patient can't get out the bed. So we're putting on the call light, the patient's calling us to send a CNA in the room just to turn, the heater up or turn it down. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff. The smart hospital, I totally support that, because it was a lot of waste of money, but that's how hospitals are. And then another is SmartWear. So basically it's like fitness trackers. So like I have my Fitbit on right now, and they can monitor a lot of things. Because if you use Fitbit, I wear Fitbit, so I know a little bit about them. But when I got my new one, it was asking, like, do you want it to monitor for AFib? And because if you've had AFib, it's not gonna monitor you. Okay. But if you know you got AFib, it's not gonna monitor you. But if you do not have AFib, then it was okay. It was like, okay, we'll monitor you. Like, this stuff is serious. Like, it tell you how long you've been asleep. It tell you um how many hours you were in deep sleep, how many hours you were restless. Why, this is all while you sleeping. It could tell you when your behind went to sleep and when your behind woke up. I mean, this thing be monitoring. Okay, of course it got your heartbeat and all that good stuff. But this thing be monitoring. And they talked about the using that the fit trackers or the smart watches to be, share the data with your provider, with your doctor, with your cardiologist, things like that. Now, I don't know if I would go that far because I'm one of them people, but I do understand, people who would do it because that it monitors it. You might as well share it. I wouldn't, but that's just me. And then another is the 3D printing. So the 3D printing, I never understood 3D printing, and that's been around for a long time. I never personally understood it because I'm like, because they're like, oh, you can print a heart, and I'm like, how can you 3D print a heart? Like, what that mean? Like, what? I don't understand what you're talking about. Or you can 3D print a lung. I'm like, how can you 3D print a lung? Now, 3D print a leg, I can understand that, like a prosthetic. I understand that. But I never understood the heart part. I don't know, I just never understood the organs part. But like, a leg prosthetic, I can understand that. And so I think that as, the world look more at the technology, that people will go towards the 3D printing, which I have no problem with that. But yeah, I never understood the heart part. I'm like, how's it gonna be? Like, you know what I'm saying? Okay, that was just me. Maybe I was missing something. Maybe they were talking about the arteries. Maybe that's what they were talking about. Because I'm like, how's that? But anyway. And then of course we had AR and VR. So AR stands for augmented reality, and VR stands for virtual reality. Now, I don't know if y'all seen it, but Apple just came out with this headset. Y'all, that thing's like $3,000, and I want it. And I ain't never bought no Apple product in my life, but I want that. Okay, I mean that looked good. And I was just thinking about how, like, because the commercial was like 10 minutes long, and I literally sat there and watched that commercial. And every time it come on, I sit there and watch that commercial because I'm tripping. But just the possibilities, just the possibilities. Now, don't get me wrong, we got a VR thing here in the house. My nephew plays it for, I think, the PlayStation or something like that. But it's not the same because, like, the one that he has that is connected to the game, it is good because we were playing this killer this killer clown haunted house type thing, and that stuff felt so. It was like an amusement park, and it was killer after you, and it was like you was on a roller coaster ride. That shit was crazy. I almost threw up because it was so realistic. I want to play that game again. And then we played this other game. It had to do with Nikolai Tesla, the guy who discovered. But anyway, that was a good game too. But it was too long. But that amusement park game, that shit was I was so nauseated because it for real felt like I was on a roller coaster ride, and I was having to shoot the killer clowns that were trying to kill me, and I was getting them. My aim is good, but anyway, we ain't gonna talk about that. But the virtual reality. So it's a difference between augmented reality and the virtual reality. So the Apple headset that they're coming out with, I was like, just think of all the possibilities. Because if you ever seen the movie Ready Player One, oh my God, that is the best movie ever. But anyway, it's basically like that. Like you're in a whole nother world. That's basically what they just created. They literally created that, and but the possibilities are just there, and like this article talks about. It talks about how the resident the surgical residents, they can use it to practice on. So instead of using the headset, I mean, instead of using like a real person or using a cadaver is like a dead body that they use for research. Instead of using that, they can still use that as well, but they can also use the VR headset to practice incisions and things like that. So they can see the body, they know before they go to a cadaver. So the possibilities are endless. Like I'm telling you, when I saw that, I was like, I gotta get my pennies together because I'm gonna get that. When is that coming out? It's like $3,000. And then because I was like, just think of all. I mean, and then this article also talked about, it could be used for pain management, so they can like give it to people who, and when they say pain management, like not, how they tell you to close your eyes and breathe and think of you're at the beach and this and that, but that's just you use your imagination. What if they gave you that? Somebody that really needs that, somebody got anxiety or depression or something like that, you put the virtual reality headset on and you are at the beach. You know what I'm saying? Like you are there. Instead of you closing your eyes and imagining you're there, your eyes are open and you are there, even though you're really in your hospital bed. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the technology is there. Like I said, am I afraid of AI or the technology taking our jobs? I mean, it's going to take everybody's job. People freaking out about this chat GPT now. So because everybody's on notice, but I do see so much possibility in a lot of things. So we're gonna have to just play it by ear. Um, I made some videos about technology and the unit secretary, and like I said, I'll post links. I think I probably made about 5 videos already about technology and what it can do to us. But I think since ChatGPT came out and since people realized that AI is here, it is here. You're gonna either you know go along with it, get your money, or it's gonna push you out the way. So I don't know. But I do. I'm looking at the possibilities of how it can make healthcare better because healthcare does need to be better. We got healthcare, but anyway, let me hush. Let me hush. But anyway, so that's all I got for you. Um, if you have any questions or comments, you can put them below. And oh, don't forget to follow me. If you want, you can follow me on my blog. I changed the name of the blog. So the blog used to be jmarieBooklets.com. I changed the name to hospitalsecretary.com. So it's the same name as this channel. You just go to Google, type in the name, hospitalsecretary.com, and it'll pull it up. So all the articles, everything that was there before is still there. I just changed the name because I wanted to be more what the blog is about. It's about being a hospital secretary. So everything's the same. The only thing I changed was the name. If you are not subscribed to that to the email list on the blog, go ahead and subscribe to it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.